Hi everyone, a very good morning. I hope now I'm audible. Can you please confirm in the chat box?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope you can see my screen as well.
Yeah, you can see.
Thank you.
I can see.
I'm getting some responses, so I think everyone can see it. Great. Let's go ahead, guys. So remember last day we had a discussion about the IAM users, IAM policies and everything. Now we'll add a couple of more things to that, right? I think we have not discussed how to create our own policies. And then we'll move towards a couple of things like IAM roles and a couple of security tools that we can add to secure our IAM access. I'll also try to give you a demo on CLI, right? How you can programmatically access the IAM users. Let's go for this, right? Sorry about my throat, it's really bad. Yeah. All right, guys. So I think I have just removed that user. So let's quickly create that user once again, and then I'll tell you how to play with the permissions and what things we can actually get to know practically. All right. So let's go to the users. Yeah, let's create a user. I mean, I think the last one that I have created, I have deleted it. All right. So here I want to provide it AWS Management Console access. I want to create IAM user. I will have a password. I will talk about this. I mean, you can see here when I create a password, right? So there are some policies that I have to follow. Like it has to be at least 8 characters long, right? I can have alphanumeric characters like lowercase, uppercase, and numbers. And I can also use some symbols. Okay. So I can play with these policies as well. I mean, this is a way you can actually enhance the security of your IAM users. Okay. So I'll play with this as well. Yeah. Let's call this password policy, by the way. We will play with it. So let's have a password here. Okay, I've added a password, a simple password, and this is the option that I have already shown you. We can ask the user to change this custom password that I have provided. It's a kind of default password you can see, and I can ask them to change it on next sign in. Okay, let's click on next, and here I have given you an idea, right? What we can do. There are two types of permissions that we can add with the users. Best practices say that we should always create a group and then add the permissions to the group, and you should add those IAM users to the group. That is more manageable. I mean, it can be in terms of the roles that you have in your organization. Let's say you have managers group, you have developers group, you have accountants group, or maybe sales team group, like this. So they might be having different requirement, right? So based on that, you should create some groups and then you can manage it. So right now I am creating group and I'll call it as demo group. Okay, let's make it like this. I hope you can see it. And when I create a group, right, you can see it is asking me to add policies. Now here is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so there are two type of policies you can just see here. These are like AWS managed policies, right? Whenever you see all these lists, right, these are AWS managed policies around the services. So you can just see the services for EC2 or permissions for EC2, permissions for S3, permission for the kinases, right? There are a lot of different services and their permissions. But additionally, you can create your own policy. That is something that I wanted to tell you. Okay. And inside that, you can have multiple things in the form of a JSON document, or you can have a visual editor, which will, help you to create your own policy. It's a good idea, when you have very specific requirements, you don't want, so it's like we follow least privilege principle here, yeah, in IAM. So we just want to give the permissions that are required for the user. No additional permissions should be given. Okay. So like if I give this kind of permission like administrator access or full access, let me just show you full access things. Let's say I want to provide full access to S3, right? So you can just see here I have full access kind of thing. But this is additional, right? Let's say I have an intern in my company. I don't want them to see the objects inside these S3 buckets. I just want to allow them to see the S3 buckets, see the objects, right? And I don't want them to create them, right? I mean, I don't want them to play with it. So I can actually, have another type of permission, like read-only permission. Can you see that? Yeah. Instead of full access. So this is called as least privilege principle. Okay. We'll talk about a couple of best practices in IAM, right? I have a long, big list of it. We will discuss. That can be very, very important. So can you see I'm choosing this read-only access? But as I said, right, we can create our own policies as well. So let's go for it. I think we have not discussed this. So let's create our own policies because based on organizational needs, you might have some specific permissions that you want to allow. So let me just tell you, there are two ways to create our own policies. We can use this visual editor, although it's not visual. It's a kind of wizard. I mean, we just have to select some options and it will create a policy accordingly. But let's say if you're familiar with JSON, right? I mean, you can try this as well. Can you see? When I switch to this JSON view, then I have a template here in which we have all those things like version, statements, right? And like this, SID, effect, action, resources. So we can play with it. We can add more blocks like this. Okay. Based on our needs, we can choose the services and everything. This can be a little tricky, right? You may make some mistakes if you're not familiar with the JSON document. Yeah. So what you can do here, you can go to this visual editor. This is easy, right? And convenient one. So what do you have to do in this part? Yeah. Although, I mean, that's the same thing. When you do visual editor, it will actually create a JSON document for you. So it's the same thing. But let's go with this. So can you see here is it asking to select a service? So you just have to select the service for which you want to specify some actions. Okay. So, I mean, for an example, let's say here we have a lot of services. Can you see that? Yeah. For example, I'm choosing S3 service. It's a storage service, by the way. Okay. Simple storage service, right? We talk about it, don't worry. And you're going to see here action allowed. So what actions you want to allow on this S3? That is what it is. Okay. So one thing that you should observe here, right? Can you observe all S3 actions? Yeah. It is allow. So effect is allow or denied, whatever you want, right? No problem. So if you just check this, right, it will actually allow all the actions, all the type of tasks in S3. It's a kind of full access. Yeah. So you should be very careful if you are very sure about allowing full access to S3, you can choose this. Otherwise, if you just see here, we have different access levels. You can expand this and then you can select the appropriate policy. Okay. Let's say for an example, I'm designing this policy so that I'm user can see the objects. Yeah. I mean, can you see the list of objects? List out the buckets. Right. That's the simple task that I want to do. Okay. So you can play with this. You can see list. So here we have some of the options. Can you see we have list bucket? So let's say we want to allow them to list bucket. They can see what are buckets we have, right? Probably they want to know the name. Okay. So you can just see list out the buckets. You can also see read type of permissions. So you can have all get permissions here. You can see get access point, get access grant location, a lot of like this. Okay. Let's say for an example, I want to allow them to get all the objects. Okay. So can you see here we have get object. So the point is they cannot upload the objects into S3 bucket. Okay. But they can get it. So you can just try with this, get objects. And there are write permissions as well. You can see they can create a bucket. Can you see this? Yeah. If we want to allow them to create a bucket, you can try this. Okay. And one thing that I would like to tell you, this is in the form of a statement, right? You can always add more permissions on different services. So can you see here is a button? Yeah. So you can actually try different services and you can play with it. Right. So let's create this particular property. I just want them to get those objects, get the list of buckets. I don't want to, allow them to create the buckets. Okay. Very interesting part it is. I just check. That is resources. Yeah. You might also play with the permissions on the specific resources. Like for an example, I have a specific bucket and I just want them to allow to play with that bucket only. Yeah, I don't want to, bucket is nothing but a logical partition of that storage where we put our files, anything, right? I think we have not discussed about the S3. So just wanted to give you that. Okay. So this can be different. Like for an example, if we talk about EC2, then there are instances that we talk about. We talk about the load balancers. Yeah, we talk about ASGs, okay, auto scaling groups. So every service has got different resources, and we can specify, right? Let's say if I just play all, that means it is asterisk. Yeah, so you are allowing the actions that you have specified in the previous step on each and every resource inside that in your account, okay, inside that service in your account. Okay, but you can go specific as well. Can you see? You can actually add ARNs to this. What is this ARN, by the way? ARN is nothing but Amazon's resource name. It's Amazon's way to name the resources. Let me just give you that. Let's have a duplicate tab. I just want to show you how we can play with this. So let's go for S3. So if you just see here in S3, I have some 10 number of general purpose buckets. You can see there are a lot of buckets here. Yeah. So let's say, I mean, for an example, I can create new buckets as well, doesn't matter, but I'm playing with the existing bucket, you can see. So I have some bucket, and if you don't know about the S3 bucket names, right, they are globally unique. I'm not talking about the account. I'm not talking about the region. They are globally unique in all over the AWS. Okay, we'll talk about it in more details. There are something that we should know, but you can just see this is nothing but let me just show you the properties. Can you see here the Amazon resource name, ARN? Yeah, so you can see ARN S3 source bucket, and this is the name of the bucket, by the way. So you can directly play with the bucket name, okay, because it is unique. But it is advisable to go with this ARN because in other, other services, it is not the policy to have unique names globally. Yeah. So if you just see, I just copy this ARN. I will come back to this policy, and I can go, and add the ARNs. So let's say I want to specify bucket. So I will add an ARN to this, and you can just see it is asking me to enter the name, resource bucket name. Okay, so I can directly pass the ARN. Yeah, it's the next option, and it will extract the name of the bucket. Yeah, can you see that? This is very simple way, and you can add the ARN. Okay, you will soon see this. Yeah. So you can see here we have this bucket, right? Source bucket. This is the name of bucket, and I've just added it as an ARN. So whatever the policy I am designing, right? I am designing for a specific resource. You can also go for a specific object. This is very interesting, right? Let's say there's a developer who is working on a project, and you have added that data set as an object in S3, and you want them to allow to play with that database data set only. So you can add that object as well. Yeah. There are some request conditions here. Yeah. I mean, like the user is added with MFA, then only you are allowing the actions, right? Or you just requested from IP, right? There are a lot of things we can play with. These are optional settings. Yeah. You can add more permissions. Can you see this? That's what I just wanted to tell you. If you add more permissions, you can add for different services. So, I mean, your policy will be then complete if you want to play with different services, right? So let's go with this. And if you just see, right, if I just move to, if I just move to the JSON, part, so you will see the policies that I have selected uh, is here. Can you see that? Yeah. Visual editor, that's SID is nothing but I'm using visual editor. That is why statement ID. Okay. And you can just see effect allowed. What actions I'm allowing? I'm allowing get objects. I'm allowing list bucket. So I am not allowing them to create it. Okay, and you're going to see the resource which I'm applying on, that is also specified. So you will see that statements will be added as you add new services like this. Okay, so this is the way you can create your policies, right? And let's click on next. We have to name the policy so that it can be identified properly. So I will say it like my policy. demo. Okay, you can add description if you want. Okay, and then you can just see the permission defined in this policy that in the previous step is S3 limited on list. Okay, access level is list, and the bucket name is also specified. Okay, requesting conditions is not added here, and you can create that policy. Now, very interestingly, you will see change in these numbers. Okay, and uh, let me just tell you, along with all AWS managed policies, can you see these all AWS managed policies? You will see the policy that I have created. Can you see this? My policy demo. And if you just see, the type is customer managed. Can you see this? This is something that you should understand. This customer managed policy, it is not, the policy which AWS is managing for us. Okay, so this is the way you can add it, and now you can add this policy to the user as well. Like, yeah. So here it is. So let's get back to our group, right? We were creating group, right? And then we switched to the creation of the policy. And now here you can just refresh and you will get that property here. Okay, so let's go for my policy, right? My policy demo, and let's create a group. So what I have done, I have created a demo group, right? And I have added this policy which I have just created. Yeah, and right now there are 0 users. We'll add it. Okay, let's click on next. Yeah, and this is just the final step, that review and create, and we'll review it and let's create the user. Okay, this is something interesting, guys. I just want you to pay attention on this. Yeah, whenever we create IAM users, right? So you you just need to store those credentials because those credentials are important. Okay, although I'll talk about the access patterns here. Okay, then you can understand that. But what you can do here, uh, you know you can download those credentials in this CSV format. This is good idea because you can see this is the only time you can view and download the passwords. Then it is not possible for you. Yeah, right. I'll talk about access ideas. Okay, you cannot retrieve that password, you have to change it then. Okay, makes sense. So you can actually do this by downloading CSV, but we'll play with it in the access key part. Okay, don't worry. So yes, we are good to go. Let's go and check out this user. So can you see I have created the user? Okay, I think I have not added this to any of the group. Let's do it. Let's add it to the user demo group that I have created. Now you're going to see this particular user is inside a group, and because of this membership, right, it has inherited this policy which is Amazon S3 read-only access. Okay, I think it has not applied that particular property. Let me just see what happens. Yeah, so let's see the permissions. Yeah, I think it has got 2 policies added. Let me just remove this and then you will see that. Yeah, and let's go to the user again. Let's go to groups here, and now you can see because of this membership of demo group, it is inheriting my policy demo. So I hope you can see that how we can actually play with the custom policies. Okay, so this is the way you can actually do it. Yeah, any question on this, please? Then I will add a couple of more things to this. Any questions still here? Please let me know. Thank you for that quick response, Ernest. So Sunil is asking how in real world. So that's what I told you. I mean, you just have to understand that how many users that we have in our organization, or how many IAM users we want, and what kind of permission that we want to allow them. Like this, as I told you, let's say for an example, we have a developer, okay, and we just want that developer to play with the data set. I mean, related to the project that he might be working on, right? So we can actually design a policy for him, and we can attach it to the developer group so that if every developer will actually have the required permissions only. Yeah, this is the way you do. Makes sense? Yes, go ahead, Sham. Janardhan is asking, is there multiple policies will be shown here? Yes, you can attach, it is very much possible. Janardhan, let me just tell you, whenever we talk about IAM users and the policies, it is end-to-end relationship. That means we can have multiple permissions attached to a user, and it is vice versa as well, right? The point here that you should understand, whenever, let's say, we have multiple policies, they should not be conflicting. Okay, like for an example, I have added two policies to the user, like S3 full access and S3 read only access. Not a good idea, right? I mean, you have added full access and then S3. So what will happen here? According to AWS policy, the most restricted policy will be applied. Okay, that means your read only access will be applied. Just play with it. I think then you will understand. Okay, so it is possible, right? In fact, it is also possible that a user is part of multiple groups, right? We discussed it yesterday. Yeah, and those groups might inherit different properties. Very much possible, right? But while designing all those policies and everything, we should be able to understand that the policies should not be conflicting. Okay, otherwise the restricted policy will be applied, right? That is what is the problem. Yeah, since IAM is a global service, the policy name, is it also unique across? No, 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 not like this. Okay, policy names are not unique. See, global service means the access scope of the IAM service is global, right? We don't have to go for region specific. It happens, right? I mean, let's say I am an organization, I am in a multinational company, I'm working in different regions of the world, right? Do I have to create different IAM users in different regions? No, right? I just create my users at at one point, and it will be accessible all over the globe. Yeah, as my business, as my operations are going on in all over the world. Okay, that is why the scope of the service is global. Okay. Yeah, Ravindran is asking, what will happen if the user is not assigned with any group? It can be. It is possible. It is possible, Ravindran. Let me just tell you that once again. I think we can discuss it on ink. Yeah, just see that. I think this diagram will help you. Yeah, this one. Can you see this? So let's say there are groups, right? I hope you can see it. I have that diagram. That's why I'm using. Okay. So can you see there are developer group, right? And there are managers group. Okay. And you can just see here ABC. These are like, imagine there, these are like 3 IAM users, which is the part of developer group, and a policy is attached with this group, right? You can see that. And let's say there is a managers group, another policy is attached, what they can do, what they cannot do, everything. But there can be a user, independent user. Yeah, let's say the high level people, like hierarchy, like board of directors or something like this, they have some special permissions, right? So you can directly attach a policy to a user, no problem with that. I mean, it is not necessary that a user has to be a part of a group. No. Okay. Then this type of policies are called as inline policies. Okay. You can do that. Okay. So, I mean, this is not something else. It's just same policy, but you are not attaching it to the group. You are doing it to the, you are attaching it with a user, independent user. That's very much possible. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, Rahul is asking someone, if we have multiple AWS account and we manage all AWS account by one login, is it possible? Yes, there's a service, Rahul, that is called as organization here, AWS organization, which allow you to have multiple accounts managed at a centralized point. Yeah, organize, right? AWS organize is a service to that. Another example, before we deleted the S3 read-only access, this group had two policies, but only one was shown here. It will be shown, right? Don't worry. I mean, when you scroll down, it is just showing the list. Yeah. But yes, if you have added more policies, it will be applied, don't worry. Okay. Rahul, that's a very different part, right? We just have to understand, the organization service in AWS, which can do all these things for you, like billing at central location. You can monitor all those accounts. Everything can be done. It's possible. Yes, Saket, I will do it. Now you can put your messages to everyone so that other people can also see your questions. Yeah. Rahul, just check out the curriculum. You will find it out. But I mean, I don't think organization is at the associate level. Yeah, that is something that you need at a professional level or something like this. We are here focusing on associate level services, and accordingly, we are doing the depth of it, right? You're going to see in IAM there are a lot of things, identity providers, right? A lot of things. But yes, we have to understand that what is the depth which is required at the associate level. I hope you understand that. All right, guys. Now I'm moving towards roles because I think we have discussed about the users, we have discussed about the policies, groups, right? But not the roles. But here, when I talk about the roles, right, they are for the services, as I told you yesterday. When I talk about interacting services, let's say we have EC2 service interacting with S3 or maybe RDS instance, yeah, then we assume these roles. These roles are very similar to the permissions, right? But here the roles are specific to the services. Okay, you might get confused. Earlier batches I experienced that people get confused with the roles like managers, interns, or developers. No, they are not organizational roles. Okay, just try to understand. This role is actually AWS role, which is assumed by a service. Okay, like for an example, if you want to allow an EC2 instance, right, to interact, to get something from a backend database, like in the RDS or something, then the role has to be assumed by that EC2. Okay, like this. That's the way you actually do it. Probably we'll not be able to use this role right now because, as we progress, we'll add more services in our bucket. Yeah, then probably you will understand it in a better way. But I just want to give you how to create the role. Okay. One thing that I would like to tell you here, don't worry about these roles because most of the AWS services, right? I mean, they have their internal setting that whenever you create something in those services, they will create the role based on your permission, yeah, automatically. So if you just pay attention to the roles that I have, like 14 roles, yeah, you will find out something. Can you see here AWS service role for backup? So this is not created by me. When I use the backup service, the role is actually created by the service itself. Can you see AWS service role for RDS like this? Okay. So this is something that I just wanted to tell you. You can also have your own uh, role. No problem with that. Okay. So let's go and create our role. Okay. And then I'll tell you a couple of settings here. We'll use it, when we move ahead. I don't think we can do it right now. Let's create the role. So you can see that when I just started creating the role, the very first option it is asking about the trusted entity type. So when you talk about entity, it's nothing but a service, or maybe it may be an account, right? It can be web identity as well. Yeah. But what do you mean by trusted? Trusted means you trust on that entity. You want that entity to interact with your services. Okay. Let's go with the simple option of AWS service. You're going to see you're trying to allow AWS services like EC2, Lambda, or other to perform actions in this account. Okay. Don't worry. These options are not, required at this associate level. When you progress, AWS is a huge umbrella, right? So when you go ahead, definitely, you might need all these things. But yes, right now let's go with the AWS service. Very interestingly, when I select this AWS service, you have to select the use case. What is this use case, by the way? It's nothing but the service that you want to interact with your other services. That is the use case here. Yeah. So you can just see here we have to select a service or a use case. It's one of the same thing. So if I just give you a simple example, let's say this EC2 is nothing but my virtual server. I want it to interact with my S3 or maybe RDS, right? So use case is going to be EC2. Yeah. And you're going to see a couple of options here. These are for spot instances. We'll discuss what spot instances are. Okay. So we'll go with the simple EC2 because we want that instances to call that AWS service on your behalf. Okay. And let's go and click next. Yeah. Can you see the very similar page like that you have seen while creating the users? It's nothing but permission policies. Okay. You can add permissions to the role. But one thing can you observe here? You cannot add your own policies. You just have to go with the AWS managed policies because here it is actually about these services. It's not about users. Okay. This is something that you should understand. All right. So here we cannot create our own policies, right? And we have to go with the AWS managed policies. But there are 957 in numbers. I mean, this number can change by the time, and I mean, it depends on enterprise accounts, free tier account, everything. But the point is here, when you select any of the service, like for an example, I want to allow like RDS. Right? RDS is a relational database service where we can host our databases, and you just want it like maybe RDS full access, yeah, or maybe RDS data full access. Right? There are difference here. Data full access means you can get all the data. Right? RDS full access, you can create the instances, you can create the databases, tables, and everything. Right? I advise you to explore a couple of services like going inside this, and you can also see some description here. They will help you to understand this in a better way, right? We cannot discuss all the services, but this is the way we can actually understand. Okay. So let's say I'm trying to allow RDS full access. Yeah. And let's click on next. You can create your role name. Yeah. Let's say that it is my demo role. Makes sense. And I will add a suffix to this if you just want to understand what it's trying to do. Okay, so I will do it like this: RDS, not required every time, but this will help us to understand what this role is doing. Okay, so just see this. Yeah, description is interesting. Allow EC2 instances to call AWS services on your behalf. That is what I want to do with this role. Okay. So if you just see here, this is the JSON, which is already created. You just don't have to do anything. Yeah. You're going to see the statement effect is allowed on the, that is nothing but the action, assume role. So whenever we talk about roles, no, it is assume role. Okay. So we assume role, on behalf of us on a service like this. Makes sense? And you can also see the service I have specified, that is EC2. Okay. When you add more and more complexities to this, right, you will see more and more things. Okay. And you're going to see the policy that is being attached with this is nothing but Amazon RDS full access. So we have a web application hosted on EC2, and we want that, to interact with this service. Okay. Tags are optional. If you want, you can create it. Let's create that role. Can you see? I got my role. Let's look for this. Can you see that? My demo role, RDS full access. Now, if I have an EC2 instance and I want it to interact with the RDS instance, I can assume this role and I can go with that. Makes sense or not? This is the way we actually can do. Probably, right? This is not, this is not the right time to understand this role, right? When we progress, you will understand it more because we will interact with more and more services. Okay, you will see to it. It's not yet finished. Makes sense. Any question on role? I can see 3 messages in the chat box. Let me see. Yeah, that is okay. Mm. So I was asking, what is the difference between policies and roles? Difference? Yes, let me just tell you that sort of. Policy is set of permissions. Then you can attach with users, groups, and the roles. Make sense? Are you getting this? Policy is set of those permissions that you want to allow. Role is something else. Role is a kind of designation, or you can just say it is a delegation to a service, right? That what service can do. Okay. with the policies. So that's the difference, right? Policy can be attached with the users, policy can be attached with the groups, can be attached with the role. But role, yeah, you assume it with any of the service which can do something for as behalf, on behalf of you. Makes sense? Yeah, that's okay. You can try that, no problem. Ritvik is saying, going further in the course, is there any prerequisite like language to be known? No, 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 I don't think so. Basic networking, Ritvik, is required because you should understand what is IP addressing, yeah, what is CIDR, right? Classless interdomain routing, and that's it. I mean, for networking, I don't think any SE, as such SE prerequisites are required. Okay, don't worry. No problem. And whenever it is needed, I'll tell you that. Don't worry. Okay. But yes, when you talk about networking, basic idea should be there. Because here we are using AWS services. We are not going detail into basic networking and other stuff. It's not possible. All right. Let's quickly jump into a couple of more things in IAM. Now, what I'm trying to tell you here, right, is how to enhance the security of IAM users, right? Because I can see that IAM users can have some very critical permissions, right? Let's say full access or maybe administrative access like this. So, I mean, ideally, what we should do, and that happens in real time as well, we should not use our root account for day to day. No, we should create IAM users, and IAM users should have the specific permissions. Yeah, that's the ideal way to do it. So definitely, we need some enhancement in the security, right? So how can I do it? Let me just show you those options. So just see this account settings, guys. Can you see account settings? Let's go to this, and I just want to show you this password policy. Yeah. This password policy is important in terms of you want to, restrict your IAM users. Yeah, and I mean you want them to have a strong password policy or password, I should say, so that I mean we don't compromise those passwords, right? So if you just see by default, right? This is a default policy, by the way. If you just see that, right? It is a default policy by IAM. Like policy says that it can be 8 characters, like minimum. It should include any three of that, like you can see lowercase, numbers, alphanumeric characters. So this is lenient one, right? You can just see any three of them, right? You can see minimum of 3. Okay, and you can see that other requirements, it never expires. So the password that you have set once is going to be set forever, right? It's not a good idea, right? We can actually play with this. Okay, so we can actually make this a little bit strong. Okay, so let's go for it. We can edit this default policy. You can just see that there's an edit button. Let's click on it. And can you see here? These are like IAM defaults. We cannot change IAM defaults, but we can have a custom password policy. Can you see that option? This is important, guys. Just pay attention to that. And I think this comes under best practices in IAM. Okay. This can come up in your exam as well. They might ask you that this is the situation. We want to enhance the security of IAM users. Then what can we do? So this is one way. We can add a couple of more things to this, but this can be there. Yeah. So if you just see that here we have a couple of good options. Let me just discuss them quickly. Custom policy, and you can see number of characters that you're allowing. Let's say I want 12 number of characters. Can you see that? Okay, I want 12 number of characters. That's strong one, right? And you can see the range here. It can be 6 to 128. Maximum you can have 128 characters in a password, right? It's huge, right? I mean, we cannot remember 128 character password. Okay. Then you can see the password strength, very interesting. So here the options. Can you see? Required at least one uppercase. So I want it. Okay. Required one lowercase. Yes. So you can see you are making your password very strong here. And you can just see require at least one number. You require at least one alphanumeric character like this. So instead of 3 of them, I'm choosing all 4 of them. My need. Yeah. Then here we have a couple of interesting options. Just see that. So here the first option says that turn on password expiration. So I want my IAM users to change their password in, let's say, 2 months or maybe 15 days based on your IAM user, right? So you can have that. Let's turn on, and can you just see expired password in how many days? Okay, so it can be 1 to 1095 days, that is 3 years. Okay, so let's say I want this password to be expired in 60 days. I want my users to have new password in every 2 months. So I can set this, so that if in any case, if you are facing any security threat or anything, I mean, let's say the password is compromised, then we can actually protect our IAM users. So you can just see the next option, password expiration requires administrator reset. You can set this. This means that whenever you reset the password, right, you have to take permission from the administrator. Yeah, that is the root, right? So it is not actually that important, but yes, you can have it. Allow users, I mean, that will be a lot of overburden, right? The administrator. Then you can see allow user to change their own password. So whether you want them to allow or not. Okay. This is interesting, right? Prevent password reuse. So I just want my users to have unique password every time. What I can have those numbers. Okay. So let's say I set 2. That means that I don't want my IAM users to select, right, any one of the password that they have used earlier. Okay, I mean, before that it is possible, but I don't want the immediate 2 passwords to be reused. Yeah, can you see that? So this can also be a very, very strong policy on passwords. So can you see I'm playing with a password policy? You can adjust that, and based on your needs you can have it. One thing that I would like to tell you, it is not specific to IAM user. Okay, it is for all the IAM users. So you have to understand this, because this is account settings. It is not user settings. Okay, so you should understand this. This policy will be applicable on each and every IAM user in your account. So you can try this. Okay, you just have to save the changes. Yeah, you will have your own custom policy, and you're good to go with that. I don't want to do it, but just wanted to tell you that this can be done. Okay. Let me just give you a few more things here that is important. Yeah, let's go in user. So can you see inside the user, right? Uh, I have something called as access keys. Very, very important. Yeah, very important, guys. And I will show you, what is the use of those access keys. If you remember, right, I have given you the idea, right? How can we access AWS resources? Remember that? Yeah, I'm running parallel batches, so you can see all those notes here. Yeah. So can you see, I mean, how you can access those AWS resources? Primarily, we go for console, right? I mean, the one that you're seeing, that web-based UI here, right? But definitely, you can also access those IAM users and corresponding resources from CLI. It may be local CLI, it may be web-based as well, like Cloud Shell, or it may be SDK based, like for the developers. Let's say that they want to do something. Yeah, so they need some credentials. They need some some way so that they can authenticate themselves, right? So when I talk about the console, no, this is something that you should understand. You need username and password, and I mean, let's say if you have added additional layer of security like MFA, multi-factor authentication, then you need that. Okay, while accessing console. Makes sense. I mean, you remember that when we logged in into the IAM user, then we required username and password. That's it. Yeah. But when I talk about the CLI and SDKs, username password will not work here. You need access keys. So access keys are nothing but another way of authenticating. Yeah, and it is nothing but very similar to the username and passwords only, but these are encrypted form of those things. Okay, I mean, this is not exactly username that I'm talking about, exactly not a password. It's just encrypted uh, credentials that we can use for CLI and SDK access. So I would like to show you how we can actually do this. Okay, and that is going to be interesting part when you like to work with the CLI. Okay, so let's go for it. I would like to show you this, and this is specific to IAM user. Okay, let's go for that. So I'm into my user. Can you see I've created a demo user? Let's look into this. And when I go into this user, can you see a tab, security credentials? This is interesting. Just see this. So when I go to this security credentials, yeah, I will talk about this MFA, right? You might be knowing about MFA, right? It's nothing but additional layer of security that you can add, right? If you just scroll down a bit, here we have access keys. Okay, interesting thing. Here, yeah, I have to create access keys. See, when I create the IAM users, then you have to by default provide the username and password and everything, right? But when you have created your IAM user, then you need to create access keys. Okay. For those all programmatic access, just see the description, right? Use, I hope you can see it. I don't know. Just see. Use access keys to send programmatic calls to AWS from AWS CLI or maybe AWS tools for PowerShells. It's maybe SDKs. It can be anything. Yeah. So the point is, whenever you're calling those services from CLI or maybe any other thing, right? You have to pass these access keys. It's a kind of authentication mechanism. Okay. Let's go and create that access key without further ado. So can you see here when I have this option, yeah, of creating access keys. So the very first thing is nothing but the key best practices and alternatives. Yeah, just see what it is. What what is the purpose that you are creating access keys, right? You have to select that. So can you see here we have a lot of options. Okay, you can see command line. That is what is our use case. We'll talk about the CLI. You can also use it for local codes, right? So this might be a little different when you use for local code or for CLI. Okay, I'll show you how it look like tomorrow. Then you're going to see application running on AWS compute services. So let's say if you are within that AWS, okay, you are not hosting any web application or something externally. Yeah, you are within that. So I mean, you can use this option, application running on AWS compute services. That is EC2 or Lambda or something like this. Yeah. Then third-party services, we have a couple of collaborations, yeah, in AWS. We can use that, and others as well. Yeah, okay. But you can just see the recommendation. Really interesting. Assign an IAM role to the compute resources. So, like AWS is suggesting you that instead of going for the access keys and everything, try to assign the roles to the EC2 instances. Okay, that's what I mean. It is a kind of recommendation. Let's go for the CLI. Let me just demonstrate this. And in this way, I can actually go a little bit deeper into CLI. Okay. So you can just see alternative recommendation, AWS Cloud Shell or CLI version 2. I'll talk about both of it, don't worry. Yeah. And you just have to confirm this and click on next. Okay. This is optional. You can tag. See, tagging means you are working with a lot of resources. Like so you can actually tag them so that you can manage them. Okay. It's just another information that you're adding. Let's create this access key. Can you see access key created? One thing that I would like to tell you guys, access keys has got two parts. First is called as access key, yeah, and second is called as secret access key. You need both of it. It's very similar concept as we have username and password. So username is access key and secret access key is nothing but a password. You can show this. Can you see a big long string here? You cannot understand what is there, but yes, it is encrypted form of it. Yeah, makes sense. There are a few best practices here. Can you see never store your access keys in plain text, right? Or a code repository or something somewhere where it can be publicly accessible. Not a good idea, right? Like this. One more thing, I mean, practical tip from my side, guys. Uh, here, these access keys will not be retrieved at all. Yeah. If you forget this access key, you just have to create a new one. You can have maximum of 2 access keys per user. Okay, makes sense. So what I advise, just see the message, right? If you lose or forget your secret access key, you cannot retrieve it because it's a kind of hashing that is performed here. Instead, create a new access key and make the old key inactive. Let's say you found something bad, so you can inactive the key And I mean, at a point, you can have two access keys. Yeah, makes sense. You can create access keys, I mean, any number, but it is highly advisable to download that access key in a CSV file. Yeah, let's download it. So can you see, I got this into my local system, demo user access keys in a CSV file. And let me just tell you, this file is containing this access key and secret access key. That's it. Nothing special here. Make sense? So I will be using it, yeah, while doing this programmatic access to this site. So let's go for it. Done. Yeah, this is important, and you will not be able to retrieve it. That is what is the important idea. So let's see this, right? Can you see access key? There is an access key, but there's no we can edit it or we can do anything. Yeah, can you see? Okay, you can edit the description, you can deactivate it, or you can delete. That's it. Yeah, you cannot retrieve it. That is what you can create a new one. That's possible, but you should understand this while working with access keys. Okay. Now let's go to a CLI, right? And let's try to have command line interface access to this IAM user. One thing that I would like to tell you here, the policies are applicable as it is, right? Let's say if I am user that you're trying to log in, having certain permissions that will be applicable on CLI as well. I mean, you cannot do anything on CLI. Makes sense. It's just another way to access the AWS resources associated with the IAM user. Okay, let's go for it. And let me just tell you how you can actually set up the CLI locally. Yeah, we have two options: web-based CLI, that is Cloud Shell. Yeah, or we have local CLI. Yeah, for local CLI, I mean, when you want to install it in your local system and then you want to do programmatic access, right? Okay, then you have to download it. You have to configure it. Okay, so let me just tell you AWS CLI install. Just go to this. AWS provides you everything, right, in documents. Just see that install or update the latest version of CLI. So version 2 is the latest one. Okay, CLI version 2. And if you just scroll down, based on the operating system that you're working on, you can follow the instructions and you can download. It's very simple, 2 minutes process. Yeah. Let's say you're working on Windows and you just have to download this MSI, right? That's nothing but Microsoft installer. Okay, just go for this and you can see there's an MSI which is there. Let me just show you that quickly. Although I have CLI already, but let's go for it just to show you. Okay, this exe file, that's why it is asking me. Yeah, you can see welcome to the AWS command line interface setup wizard, right? It will just compute the requirement, and then you can click on next and just next. That's it. Right? Yeah, can you see? You can click on next, and it will be installed in your system. It's very simple, right? And based on your needs, based on your need of operating system, you can follow the instruction and can get it. Let me just tell you, like let's say you don't want to do anything like this. Okay, I'm putting it in the chat box so that you can have it. I'm putting it in the chat box if you want to explore. Yeah. All right. So let's assume that I have installed CLI in Windows. Okay. And how can I check it? I just have to go to CMD. That's the command line interface available. Or you can also use a Power shell, no problem. Yeah. Here, I just have to type AWS, right? I can't zoom it. Anyways, okay, I can. Sorry. So can you see? This is the output that you're expected, right? Because every CLI command, is with this prefix AWS. So if you have AWS and you're saying you're getting this message, of course it is like AWS and then options, command, subcommand, right? Like this. Okay, like this. But can you see here? I cannot do anything because I have not authorized myself. Let's see this. Let's say if I go and check out the S3 ls command. That's a simple one. Just see that. Can you see an error occurred when calling the list bucket operation? AWS key ID doesn't exist or it is not in our records. So let's cross check, right? So there's no access key here which we have provided. So what we have to do here, let me just tell you, we have to configure this, right? So there's a command, there's a simple command that I have to use. AWS configure, that is the first step. Yeah. Now can you see what it is asking me? It's asking for the access key. That's what I told you. You cannot use username and passwords in programmatic access or CLI. Yeah. So we have those things in our hand. So let's go for downloads. Yeah. Let's go for downloads. And we have that demo user access keys, right? Just see. So I'll copy this access key from here. Yeah, you can just see there are two parts, access key and secret access key. That is what we want. Let's copy this and put it here. Okay, let's put it here. Yeah, this was earlier access key that I've used, but since it is a new user, I will be providing a new. And you can see after this, it is asking secret access key. So let's copy this secret access key, long big string. Don't do any mistake here. Don't miss any of the character here. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. Yeah. Can you see that? Very, very important to point to note here. All the CLI, work default in US East 1 region. Default region, but you can change it, no problem. You can see that the default region is US East 1. And I know that whatever the resource that I have created is in the US East 1. Can you see that? Right now, it is a global option, but I will usually work in the US East 1. But let's say if you are working in any other region, you just have to provide it. Let's say instead of US East 1, you are working in US East 2. You can provide it, no problem. But you have to provide the provide the region, because the IAM user will access the resources, right? The resources might be deployed in a specific region. Okay, this is the point that I want to tell you here. Okay, so I am in default region US East 1. So let's go for it. And this is output format. We don't have to specify it. Default format is JSON, by the way. And I think we are good to go with that. So let's go with null. And if I press enter, just see, there was no problem. If there's a problem with access keys and access key ID, then you might get an error here. But there was no problem. So I'm good to go inside my IAM user. Now, how you actually come to know that I'm authorized or authenticated? Let's run the command and then you will see that. Okay, so let's go for this command that I tried earlier, AWS S3 ls. And can you just see this? Okay, what is the problem? Yeah, just check the message. Then I will resolve it. Check the message. When calling the list bucket operation, demo user is not authorized to perform. So can you see the policy that we have selected is actually applied here as well? You can see, because of no identity based policy allows list all my bucket action. So we need this action. Okay, so let's tweak with this. You can see in CLI also the policy has been applied. Okay, let's go to user. Oops, sorry, I was there in the user. Yeah, let's go to the groups because that's not inline policy. And here you can see it is a read-only policy, right? My policy. So let's go to this group, and instead of this my policy demo, right? Let's remove this. Let's add the permission. Okay. And I will provide S3 full access for an example. Okay, just to see S3 full access, or you can also look for the list object permission, and you can also go very specific, no problem. Let's attach this policy. Okay, so can you see Amazon S3 full access, refresh, right? It will be applicable on the user as well. Let's verify this. Let's go to user, go to groups, right? And the Amazon S3 full access, or you can also see the permissions here. Because of it is part of demo group, right? It is having S3 full access. Now let's try this. Okay, let's refresh it. I mean, just to make sure that it is being applied. Let's go to the command prompt. Let's apply this AWS S3 S3ls command once again. And now just see this. I could actually execute this command because I have applied the permissions here. Can you just see that? These are all my buckets, right? I can also show you here. Yeah. Can you see all these buckets in my account? These are my resources. Can you see? CF template, you can see destination bucket, Ajitab, 28.5. These all are buckets. And you just see them here. Can you see? CF template and destination bucket because of the permission that is being up. Okay. Now, based on your needs, you can try any of the CLI commands. Yeah. You can create the buckets, right? You can list users, anything. Now just see that, let's say I have one more command. I want to see how many IAM users I have in my account. So I have something like this. IAM, it is going to be list users. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, can you see there was an error? Why? Because this IAM user, which I have configured the CLI with, is not actually allowed to see the different IAM users in my account. That is why you see. I mean, the policies are as it is applied. So first you need to play with the policies, then you should come to this CLI to work with it, right? I hope I have given you the reference. There's a document reference on AWS CLI. Yeah, because it's not possible to remember all those commands, right? So you can try this. Here we have all those services. So here, can you see, I've tried with the S3, right? Let me just show that S3. Yeah, can you see RDS and S3, right? Can you see? So you can have S3 commands, more commands if you want. Yeah, can you see? Just have to go through this document, you will see that. So AWS give you all, but it's your choice whether you want to go for console or you want to go for CLI. Yeah, makes sense. So this is something. I'm putting it in the chat box. You can also take it as a reference. Got it. Yeah, Srinivas is asking a question that how many users can possible to create? No limit on that. Okay, no limit on that, Srinivas. Right? You can have as many as you want. You just have to check the free tier account limits, guys. Right, Srinivas? Because in enterprise accounts, I mean, there's no limit. But yes, there might be a limit on free tier account. Okay. And definitely free tier account is for practice purposes, not for actual environments. Yeah, Ernest is asking something. How does a tag look like? Can we have? Yes, I will do it. Let me just tell you, Ernest, tag is nothing but a key value pair. Key value pair. So we will add a key. Let's say, for an example, this IAM user belongs to the one that I've created belongs to the sales department. Okay, so I can have it like key department and the key as sales like this. So I will come to know that okay, these group of IAM users belongs to the sales department like this. Additional information that you're adding. It is useful when you're working with very large setup. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much, Ernest. Any more questions? Deepak is having, do we have tasks to be done so that we practice? Which tasks, Deepak? Are you talking about the later tasks after the modules? Or are you talking about? No, Deepak, not right now. They are PWC tasks, right? They are very high level. You won't be able to do it right now. Yeah, that's a different story, Deepak, right? Right now, it is not required to do that. What I advise you, Deepak, I mean, whatever I am doing, just try to do that. That is required. try to play with the different options. Try to do it by yourself. That is what we have. Venga is saying, can you use tags to give permission, I think, right? No, no, no. Tags are just additional things, right? Let's say, for an example, you're working with a lot of IAM users, okay? Then you probably need to understand that what are the IAM users belongs to developer group. So you can categorize them like this. You just add additional tag to them, right? Sham is asking me, the access key you generated is associated with AWS root user account. No, 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 no. It's specific to IAM user, not root user. Yeah, that's what I said, Sham. The best practices say that you should not have any way you can actually work with the root accounts, just like access keys that you talk about. Access keys are always about the IAM users. Okay, although we can have access key for root user, but it's not at all recommended. Yeah, because if you see, if you lose any access key or anything, right, then it will be a problem. Yes, Sham, I think we have discussed it, but let me just show you, no problem. So there's a service in this, right, which you can use if you don't want to install CLI in your account. That is Cloud Shell. Just do this. So can you see Cloud Shell? It is browser-based shell that give you command line access to your AWS resources. Okay. Let's say you don't want to configure CLI in your laptop, you can directly use it. So it will give you that prompt directly. You can see the dollar prompt, and I hope you can see it. And you can directly run any of the command, and no need to configure it as well. Right. But yes, I mean, if you are working with the specific IAM user, definitely it has to be, because this Cloud Shell is pointing to the root user right now. Can you see this? Yeah. Let's say if you want to configure it the same way, same command, same thing, right? But the idea is you don't have to install it. You can have it directly on the browser. Okay. Like if I do AWS S3 LS in this, you get the same response because it is a root user that I am working with, right? No need to do authentication because it is already there in the console. You have already authenticated yourself. Can you see? All right. But yes, specific IAM user need to authenticate themselves. Make sense? You can add them in different tabs, right? You can see this. Makes sense. You can also have VPC environment. That's a different story. We'll understand it in the VPC part. I hope it makes sense. When I'm saying, can we restrict the access using tags? No, no, no. Tags are not for any kind of permissions or anything like this, right? Tags are just to manage those resources, nothing else. Okay, nothing related with permissions or users or roles, nothing. Yeah. Arvind is asking, are there any limitations in accessing AWS services through console? No, 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 no. I mean, that's a choice. I mean, some people really like to do all the things with the CLI. One thing that I would like to tell you here, uh, you know, here can you see when I'm doing everything from CLI, I don't have to go to console. Yeah, so like I don't have to go to a browser which may have some vulnerabilities, right? And then you can directly access those resources from CLI. Yeah, so it is your choice, right? And sometimes what happens, like when we do SSH kind of operation, like secured shell to EC2 instances, then probably we might need all those commands. But you know, it's again up to you, right? What do you want to do? Because console can do all the things, and so as the CLI. But CLI, you just need to have commands for that. That's it. Yes, Nitesh, they are like labels that you are putting to the resources for more information. That's it. Yeah, great. All right, guys. Anything else I can help? You can put all good in chat box if you don't have any question, because that's the way I can know that everything is fine. I highly appreciate if you can tell me that. Yeah, I'm not forcing you, but if everything is fine till here, just let me know. You can give me a thumbs up or anything, no problem. Sham is asking different between user groups versus roles. User groups are for IAM users, right? And roles are for services, Sham, right? I think we have discussed it in details, right? Like I advise you, I mean, if you want them to understand once again, and that is no, don't hesitate to repeat the things, no problem, right? Recordings are always there with you. Yeah. Yes, as always, Sunil want me to unmute, no problem. So guys, let's do one thing. You can start your break, because right after this, I will have a short break because I need it. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Sunil. You
Yeah,
can.
Vijit, thanks. So how we can generate multiple IAM user keys and we can distribute
No,
via
you have to go in one-on-one. Not possible to have one access key, or I mean, you cannot automate that aspect. You can use cloud formation kind of like service to create multiple IAM users, but access keys has to be uh, generated uniquely.
so if 1,000 users having like a organization having 1,000 users,
Yeah, you
we
have
have
to
to go
manage
one
it
by
like
one.
this. Yes. If you want access keys, I mean, not all the users will have access keys, no?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean,
Okay.
all the users do not need programmatic access to AWS resources.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So normally, how the organization is using, to a console or like any programming thing.
Mostly it is
Uh,
console only. Yeah, mostly it is
mhm,
console, but there are few people who really like, I know few people who really do everything with a CLI. But in that case, you have to refer to the CLI command and everything, right? I mean, you have to remember all those commands, because that will take some time, because using console is pretty convenient, right? You just have to, uh,
mhm,
you just need some clicks. Okay.
mhm.
Yeah, it's your
Okay.
choice, Sunil. Then,
Mhm.
yeah.
So can we set up a CLI through our computer to AWS? That setup we can do that right?
I did that exactly. Can you see this? I did that exactly. Can you just see? This is my local command prompt. Can you see this? Right? And I
Yeah,
just
but
installed AWS CLI,
okay.
so that my command line can be configured with a CLI. Right? I can run those CLI commands here in this command. This is my local system. Can you see this?
But you have configured anything for this or?
I just have installed. I think you have missed that. I have just also uh, put that into chat box. Just check.
Okay, okay, no worries. I will check
I
it
mean,
out.
I will show you that. Don't worry. Otherwise, that will not be a complete idea. Just see this. Can you see for different operating system? You can choose, like for Windows, I can choose this uh, AWS CLI. You can just download and run this CLI MSI installer for Windows. That's what you need if you want to do local installation. Alternatively, you can go and check out the Cloud Shell, that is browser-based CLI. Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
great. Madhur is saying, what if my organization doesn't want to use IAM? Can use any other way to secure AWS services? IAM is not to secure, right? It is to access. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would like to correct you on that. Okay. And I don't think there's another way. I mean, instead of root user, instead of IAM users, we can access the, okay. There's no other way. I don't think so. Another thing, if you configure multiple IAM users using AWS configure command, uh, how could you specify specific IAM? No, 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 no. AWS CLI can be configured with one IAM user at a time. Yeah, you cannot have multiple users at a time. So you don't have to choose any user like this. Okay. So I mean, every time when you, it's a kind of login method. Can you see when you configure CLI, it's like a login page given to you as a programmatic access, and then you have to provide the access keys and secret access key, and then you're good to go. Yeah. Yes, Janardhan. If anything which is required, see the okay. Let me just cover the question that I have already. Then I will unmute you for a while. Shashir is saying, I guess can run script using Lambda to create multiple accounts. Yes, there are n number of different ways. Yeah, that's what I told you. We can create IAM users, but for the access keys, we have to go one, right? Ocean is saying, can you integrate IAM with Active Directory? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. There are Active Directory services, but little out of scope of this, right? Uh, I can give you some reference for this. I hope you can then check it out. Yeah, Janardhan want me to unmute. Anyways, but I was, yeah, go ahead, Janardhan, quickly.
Yeah, let's say I have two users, user one and
Two
user
users,
two.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I,
Mm-hmm.
I I use AWS configure to configure user one,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
later I also configure user two.
Okay.
Now, let's say I want to run AWS S3 LS,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to use user one or user two.
Mm-hmm.
How can I
No,
specify
no, no,
that?
it is not possible. When you
It's not
configure,
possible.
not possible. When you configure one user, no, you have to stick to that user. Let's say if you want to use another user, you have to configure it again.
No, no. So
Mm-hmm.
so once I configure one user, I cannot configure another user.
No, no, at that same time, it is not possible. You have to follow that step one more time. See,
No,
configure,
no.
it is
After,
not a
yeah.
one-time process, right? Just try and understand. It is not a one-time process. You have to do that configure every time when you are interacting with the resources with the IAM users.
Oh, so they're not stored in anywhere in the local.
No, 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 not at all, not
Okay.
at all, not at all,
So
right?
there's no like profile concept
No, no,
like
no,
where you can
no, no,
switch.
no, Janardhan. It's not possible. Every day it is, I mean, every time it is a new uh, configure, right? Configure is like a login pages, like do it like this. So every day, let's
Okay.
say if you have logged in with a user, that you have to log out from that, and you then can log in with another user, right? I hope it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
guys. So let's go for a short break, guys, because I need it. Okay. And then we'll move ahead with one more thing, that is MFA. I just need to give you overview of MFA, and then we'll quickly move towards the compute service, that is EC2. Okay. Let's go for a short break. Hey guys, I'm back. Are you there? Great. Yes, Jonathan, that's a different story, by the way, that you are talking about. Okay. Just explore it if you really want. That is a different story when you work with the command lines, right? All right, guys. So let's move ahead. And I would like to add one more thing to this. That is, uh, that is MFA, right? I just want to discuss MFA because that can be a best practice, at least with the root accounts. Okay, so let's discuss this. Yes, let's go to the users. Okay, I think. Yeah, let's go to IAM. Let's go to users. Got it. And if you just talk about this users, no, let's go inside that user and again in the credentials, right? So one more way you can actually have is multi-factor authentication, to enhance the security of IAM users. Okay, so you probably might be knowing about what is multi-factor authentication. It's another layer, of security. And yeah, let's say for an example, if you're using only username and password, yeah, it might. I mean, you can actually compromise those things, right? So, I mean, adding another layer of security is always a good idea. Okay, it's like one-time password, or it can be an authentication token in which we have some some numbers, right, need to be provided at the time of authentication. It can be different ways, right? So you can add MFA devices with IAM users. That's possible. This is recommended with the root user. That comes under IAM best practices. Okay, so we have choices here. I mean, we can use the devices, we can use the pass keys, like it can be fingerprint, it can be face, or it can be screen, right? Screen, everything can be configured here like this. Okay, depending upon the hardware that you're using. Okay, and we have three options here. We're going to see pass key, security key, authenticator apps. So we have Amazon Authy, we have Google Authenticator. Yeah, you might be knowing that. Yeah, let me just show you that Google Authenticator. So it somehow look like this if you just see, right? Where's that image? Yeah, here it is. So can you see what happens? I mean, when you configure your Google Authenticator, there are numbers, like this is the algorithm which is running behind the scene, is showing some numbers as a pass key here. Yeah, and you have to provide it. These numbers will keep on changing. Yeah, let's say maybe 10 seconds or maybe like this. On similar algorithm will be there with the login page, right? So you have to provide the number which is shown on the screen, and it will actually authenticate yourself. Yeah, this is the way this works, right? The same algorithm will work. Yeah, you have to configure that. And alternately, this is very hard. Yeah, this is hardware TOTP token. Yeah, you probably might be knowing that there's a USB stick type device, right, where you have the numbers. Yeah, and again, the idea is same. It is running an algorithm behind the scene, and it's trying to show some numbers. And the same algorithm is running at the login page when you configure it. Okay, and then you're good to go with this, right? So the idea is like we are adding additional layers of security to make our things better, right? It is easy. You just have to select your authenticator app, and then you can actually do it. Right now, I don't want to do it with my root account. Otherwise, I will have to do it every day. Yeah. So I hope you can try this. All right. It's easy. It's not very difficult. We have a demo on this. Probably you can see it here. When you go to course content now, just go to the IAM module. And if you just see here, we have those. Okay, yeah, here it is. Can you log in with the MFA? Just a PDF step-by-step process that you can try. You can also try Artifact. It is another service, right, which can be done. Yeah. So this is interesting, right? You should understand this, and I think it is not very difficult. You just have to go step by step, and that's done. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Anything else in IAM? Yeah, I just want to give you very interesting best practices that might come in your exam. Let me just give you some exam tips also while going ahead. I have it here. Yeah. So probably IAM service. Yes, best practices. I have some use cases also if you want. So according to IAM documentation, right? These are some of the best practices which we actually should follow. And let me just tell you, that can be a direct question in your exam. Yes, guys, because AWS when asks you questions, it is like scenario based. And in those scenarios, definitely the probability of right answer is always coming from the best practices that AWS is giving us. That's why I just collected for you. Okay. Let's discuss them one by one. Although we have discussed it in our discussion, but let's go to these points. The first thing I will provide you if you want, right? No problem. I have a lot of material that you can use. You can see the first one. Don't use a root account. Instead, create IAM users. So that's the kind of best practice, right? Don't use the root account for day-to-day task, right? Always create the IAM users, which you have full control on. Yeah, you can add permissions, you can remove those permissions, you can add them into groups. You have all those options with you. Yeah, very important. One physical user, one IAM user. Yeah, what does it mean actually? It means that you should not share the IAM user credentials. That's what it is. Yeah, so ideally in an organization you should have, if you have like 1,000 users, you should have 1,000 users like IAM users. Okay, like you should not share it. That's what it is. Okay, then assign users to groups and then assign permission. So here it is talking about the inline policies. Definitely, if you have, let's say, 1,000 users, and if you go one-on-one with the permission given to them, then definitely it is not practically feasible, right? You can go for it; it's possible, but definitely it's not going to be convenient. Okay, so it's always a good idea to create the users and put them into a group and then assign some permissions so that all the um, group members will have those permissions directly. Okay. Very interesting. Create a strong password policy. And I've already given you how you can do that. I just keep these best practices in mind, and then I design my the whole explanation. Okay. You can see, use MFA at least for the root user. You can use the MFA for IAM users as well. Let's say if you have very critical IAM users, then we can also add this, no problem. But highly recommended for at least for the root user, because root user can do anything. Yeah. Then create roles for the services, right? So of course, when you're working with the services, which is interacting with other services, go for the role, assume the role in that service. That is the best way. Okay. Then user access keys for programmatic access on SDK or maybe CLI. Yeah, so of course, I mean, you have to do it. You cannot go with a username and passwords there. Yeah, so that's what it's trying to say. And then I think this is in support to this point, like never share IAM users and access keys. It is pretty obvious, you know that. I mean, we should not share our credentials and everything. Yeah, so that there's a less chance of breach or unwanted activities, unintended um, deletes, or anything like this. Okay. I hope you're getting these best practices. Yeah, I will share this file with you if you want to keep it as a notes. Putting in a chat box, please. If you want, you can get it. Brian is asking something, how many questions I can expect? No, it's not. I mean, we cannot decide that. Yeah. Okay. We cannot decide that. We cannot say that. All right. What is that OIDC? Gopal, I couldn't understand that. OpenID Connect. What exactly you want to know about that? Because I don't think it is in scope with the course. Yeah, because we want to move toward EC2, which is, I think, the super important thing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to give you, a way the exam can ask you on IAM, right? So I have some real-time questions. Also, at the associate level, when you talk about solution architect, they don't ask you a lot of questions on IAM. And it can be connected question. It is going to be mix and match of the things. Yeah. So it is important to have that idea. Okay. So I have a couple of use cases for you so that you can have a feel that how it can be asked in the exam. Okay, let's go for it quickly. No problem. I'll share it to you. You can also understand that. So just see a scenario. Okay, see a company is implementing a new business application. Okay, no problem. The application runs on two Amazon EC2 instances. Can you see? Okay, there are two EC2 instances on the top of which they're running an application, and it uses an S3 bucket for document storage and everything. Okay, so this is a kind of backend store where they're storing the document and everything. The solution architect need to ensure that EC2 instance can access the S3 bucket. What should the solution architect do to meet this requirement? So can you see in this question, in this scenario, I should say, here, this is the key idea. Yeah, EC2 is interacting with S3. And then whenever there are two services which is like interacting with each other, we should always assume a role. So the possible solution can be create IAM role that grants access to the S3 bucket, yeah, and attach the role to the EC2 instance. Simple solution, right? I mean, here it is pointing to the role. Let's check the another scenario. A company is launching a new application and will display application metrics on Amazon Cloud Watch dashboard. Okay, so they are monitoring something. I mean, definitely it's a application. They are monitoring the delay and the latency and everything, and populating it to the AWS Cloud Watch dashboards. Yeah, you can see the company product manager need to access this dashboard periodically. So no problem. Company, I mean, there's a manager who need to access this dashboard periodically. The product manager does not have AWS account. Okay, does not have any AWS account. A solution architect must provide access to the product manager by following the principle of least privilege. Can you see? This is a real question, guys. Okay, you can see principle of least privilege. Which solution can meet this requirement? So there are couple of ideas that we can do. We can actually provide some, some credentials, temporary credentials, or we can go with the IAM. You can see that. So can you see, create an IAM user specifically for product manager, attach the CloudWatch read-only access. Can you see it is least privilege because he just have to go through the dashboard. That's it. No need to do anything else, right? That is why the specific access, AWS managed policy to the user, share the new login credentials with the product manager, share the browser URL, right, of the correct dashboard with the product manager. I mean, that's the additional stuff that we can do. But the point, the main key takeaway is like when we have a person, yeah, they need to, access the AWS resource, then we should go for IAM user. I hope we are getting some idea with this, right? What kind of questions they can ask you on IAM. I will share this if you want. You can also understand it in a deeper way. Yeah. But yes, associate level, it will be less question, but it can be combination of all those things. Yes, that is possible. See, I mean, we have to choose. These use cases were for IAM. Okay, it's not for SSOIDs. Okay. I'm putting it in the chat box. Please check if you really want. The purpose to show these use cases are to show how the questions on IAM can be asked. That is what it is, right? All right, guys. So that's it about the IAM service, right? And let's move towards the next service that I have. Yeah, and the next service is all about compute services. Very interesting. And I think in all over the course, right, we'll be working with EC2 service with all other services. So you will see EC2 many a times, right? So you should be very, very clear on that. Yeah. So let's try to understand what is EC2 and what it is working for. Before I move ahead, guys, I got a couple of, I should say, feedback yesterday. And I was really disappointed with that. But anyways, I mean, we cannot restrict anyone to give any kind of feedback. Yeah. So, I mean, they said I always read PPTs. And they specifically, I mean, I don't know who is that, but he specifically mentioned the name of other trainer. And I mean, he compared that trainer with me, and he mentioned that I'm reading PPTs always, and I'm slow like this. All right, guys. So that is okay. I mean, I respect everyone's opinion, no problem, right? I got a couple of more things in that, and let me just tell you, the overall, the feedback and all those ratings badly impacted my profile as a trainer in Edureka, overall profile as a trainer. So let me just tell you, I was about to leave this batch because I mean, I don't want to go like this. Okay, and I'm not here to listen to your any of the concerns like this. Connect to the team if you have problem with my way. Connect to the team if you want anything else inside that. I will highly appreciate it if it's coming from my team, right? I will not follow any of the uh, like in the kind of it's as a kind of instruction. Yeah, no, right? Because I am following what is being instructed by my team at Eureka. Yeah, and if you have any issue with Eureka or me, right? Connect to your team, discuss with me. You can always, there are a lot of parallel batches. You can change your batch, right? No problem with this, right? And let's say if all of you don't want me, no problem with that, right? I respect that as well. You can connect to the team that we don't want him as a trainer. Go ahead and talk to them. I will not waste your time. Yeah, I am doing a lot of work in different aspects, so I don't think it is. And it's about going slow because there are a lot of people who are really very new to these things. Yeah, I have to accommodate the learning uh, pace of every one of you, right? I mean, I cannot go one-on-one and treat like this. It is not that setup. Yeah, if you have any other expectation, connect to the team, right? If they tell me to do anything, I will accommodate. Okay, that's my clear message, guys. Because I'm really I was having really bad feeling yesterday when I saw those comments, yeah, and reviews. But anyways, that's okay. If you yeah, if you want me to leave this, I am happy to. I mean, I don't want to waste your time, and I mean, there should be a way to, suggest someone or something like this. I didn't like it. I was demotivated with that, discouraged with that. I talked to my team, and they said, try it today. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I've been doing this for, I mean, even, I was doubting on myself after seeing those comments, right? Probably you people might have a doubt that whether he's certified or not. Yeah. So, I mean, if you want, I can show you that certification as well. Because now I'm really very, worried about those things. Yeah. So it badly impacted my payout and uh, the overall rating in Etireka. I mean, when you are judging the book by its cover, guys, that's what I can tell you. Anyways, no problem. I don't want to get into those discussions. Yeah, because that happens every time in batch, right? There are learners who really don't satisfy with those things. So that's a part of story. Yeah. So it badly impacted my right. So that is okay. I mean, that is, I respect everyone's opinion. No problem. Jyoti is saying, please don't do that. Got you as a trainer everywhere. Stupid people there. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for those motivating words. But because of some last feedback, and there are people who are not giving feedback at all. That is what is the problem, right? So like you do 100, I mean, you do 10 things, and out of 10 things, like 8 were really good, and 2 are not up to the mark. Okay, so that happens as a part of life, right? And those 2 things are highlighted. People are not getting, I mean, people are not getting what I'm trying to do in those 8 tasks. That's the problem, right? I have long, big stories, um, where people learn from me and they actually cleared those certification and they're doing really well in the industry. I work with World Bank. I'm working with TCS right now, yeah, on some of their projects. And I don't know, I might not be best trainer on Edureka, possible, right? But I'm not also the worst that I can tell you. Anyways, I don't want to beg for those reviews and ratings. No, not at all. Yeah, I respect everyone's of your opinion. It already impacted what was about to do, but anything. Yeah, Nitesh, that is what. Yeah, that's what I was disappointed with. But anyways, no problem. I will I will try my best, but I cannot make everyone happy. That is what is like this. Okay. And I am not also here to, address any kind of issues. Like I'm here to train you, right? If you have any issue, connect to the team, get it solved. Change your badge, change your instructor, whatever you want to do. All right. Because I understand that. Um, like, thank you, but I seen right your profile on LinkedIn, right? And you send me the LinkedIn request, right? You are very senior, right? I'm in front of you. I'm just trying to tell you how technically it works, but I know you have a lot of experience than me. I've seen your profile. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am having confidence in Anand, but sometimes, because of those weird comments and weird, things, I really got demotivated. And let me just tell you, I have a lot of batches. I mean, it is not like, so why should I take those mental strikes on me that I should stick to that, right? I am confident person, no problem with that. But sometimes, it happens. So that badly impacted my profile on Etireka last day. But anyways, part of story. Anyways, guys, so we are left with some time. So let me just give you a brief about, EC2 instance. Yeah, I'm not going to read PPTs as I got comment yesterday. Today I have not touched the PPTs at all. Can you see that? This is the first time I'm doing this. Okay, let's do one thing. Okay, let's not touch the PPT today as well. Let me just directly jump into the EC2. Yeah, and I will quickly launch a web server. Yeah, on EC2. Okay, and let's see how it works. Definitely, the options that you might see, yeah, will not be clear, right? But we'll deep dive into all those options. Okay, later when we deep dive into EC2. Why? But I just want to give you a quick demo on EC2 so that I mean, yeah, just want to do it right. Yes, Gopal, we'll deep dive into all those things. Don't worry, right? We will spend time on EC2. Yeah, we'll understand for those things. Gayan, I mean, you can search me with my full name. Let me just mention my full name. It's not about confidence, guys. I mean, it's about motivation. That's what it is, right? Anyways, let's go for you can see I am into my EC2 service, right? You can see that there are a lot of things that we are going to do here in EC2. We'll work with the auto scaling group, we'll work with the instances, we'll work with the load balancers, the security groups, volumes, right? Elastic IPs, key pair, everything, right? It is very detailed service and it is required, guys. Okay, so don't worry, we'll deep dive. All right. But just as you know, as per the time that we have, yeah, let's have a quick demo on EC2. Definitely, we'll be doing this multiple times. Okay, don't worry about this. Okay, so I just want to give you an idea that yes, how it works. Okay, so in EC2, what we do is we create the instances, right? These are nothing but virtual machines, or you can think about virtual servers. Like it's infrastructure as a service that we talk about. Yeah, we have that machine with us, and then whatever you want to do, you can do it. So I'm quickly launching an instance just to show you how it works. And let's go for first. I'm just naming it first web server, just like a demo. Okay, just see, right? There are a couple of options that we have to understand properly, like AMI. What is this AMI machine image? We'll talk about it. There are pre-configured images of operating system. Yeah, we'll deep dive. Don't worry. Just going through it like this. So here I am choosing Linux because most of the time we'll be working with the Linux, and make sure that you are in a specific region. I mean, whatever the region that you prefer, you should be within that. Otherwise, you may commit some mistakes here, right? So mostly I will be working in this biggest region, that is North Virginia, US East 1. And you can see I'm choosing this AMI. Yeah. And these are like a couple of details. This is the instance types, right? So I'll talk about what are these instance types. Basically, AWS provide different type of instance types based on your needs on CPU, right? Memory, everything. Yeah. And different pricings are associated, right? We'll deep dive what are these things, right? Don't worry. So, but one thing that you should understand that not all the types of instances are available in free tier. So we have to stick to the one which is available with us. Yeah. So you can see the family is T2. I'll talk about what is this T2 and micro. What is this, right? I'll talk about it. Okay. The key pair is nothing but the way you can get into this instance. Okay. So if you want to make it open, you can make it, or you want key pair. We'll be working with key pair when we do SSH kind of things. Okay. It's just like access keys that we have in IAM, right? These are like network settings. Yeah, we can edit those VPCs and everything, right? We'll go through each and everything in detail, don't worry. Yeah. Because we'll be working with EC2 in all, I mean, along with all the services. Okay, so can you see VPC? I can choose subnet. I can use this public IP auto assignment. This is something very interesting. Security group. It is like a firewall. Yeah. So we can actually have some rules in this firewall using which we can actually restrict the access to this EC2 instance that we are trying to create. Okay. Again, we'll deep dive, what are the rules that we have? Yeah. What can we do with this security group? Right now, I'm creating a group like launch wizard 13. Yeah. You can choose any other also. You can see select existing security group. These are some rules that we have. Okay. So like SSH rule is already there by default. We can add some rules. Let's add another rule because I want to set it as an web server. So it's like this. HTTP. So I want HTTP connections on, I want to allow HTTP connection on this instance, right? And you can just see source type, I will choose anywhere. That means from anywhere outside internet, right? You can see this IP is very, very interesting. 0.0.0.0 /0. It represents all the IPs in the world. Okay. So I am allowing any IP from the world. I will tweak with these things, don't worry. Yeah. I just want to allow if any type of HTTP request to this instance from anywhere, any IP. Yeah, we can play with it, right? This is the storage settings that we have. So 8 gigs is good. We can go up to 30 GB in free tier. Yeah, this is called as EBS, like Elastic Block Storage. We'll talk about it. Don't worry. Yeah, we can also add file systems here. Yeah, all right, file systems, and we have some advanced details, but not all of them are important. Yeah, you can create a new directory and you can put that. Okay, you can select the IAM instance profile, right? A lot of things, but one thing that I will be using here when I scroll down, it is user data. There's nothing but set of commands which I want to run when I boot up this instance. This is what we call it as user data. Pretty optional. Yeah, if you don't want to use it, that is up to you, no problem. Okay. Let me just have some pre-written commands because I have to write a lot otherwise. Yeah, and I'll show you this what it is actually. So it is nothing but some bash commands, right? Can you see? I am elevating my rights to system user sudo su. I'm installing HTTPD, which is nothing but my small web server, like for Linux version 2. I'm updating yum. Yeah, this is basic Linux, right? If you don't know about basic Linux, right, I advise you to go through some YouTube video or something like at least you know some of the command. Let me just tell you, I am not also an expert in Linux. I do not work in Linux too much, but I know these basic commands, right? So that's why I just collected it, and I'm just echoing that hi, I'm hosted on EC2 from. So it will show my private IP address. Yeah, which I'm putting it inside this index.html. Yeah, keeping it very, very simple. Yeah, you can do it in many ways, but this is the easiest way I'm doing. Okay, let's launch this instance. This is just a review. You can review it, whatever you have selected. Let's launch it. It'll take few seconds to launch this server. We'll talk about different states and everything, right? Don't worry. So let's refresh to see our new instance. Can you see? I got first web server running on this. So can you see the state is running? These two instances that we have are stopped state, right? We'll talk about different states and how to access this instance, right? So, this is the way. When you go inside that, you will have public IP address and private IP address. Private IP is for internal AWS communication, right? This public IP is for the public access. So let's copy this, okay? And let's put it into a new chat, new tab, sorry. And make sure that you're doing HTTP call because I'm allowing HTTP only, yeah. And let's go for it. Can you see a response is coming from a server that I am hosted on EC2 with my private IP, and just see the private IP 34.17 and just look into the private IP 34.17. You can also try this. Do try it, right? In your browser, you can try it. You can have some delay based on your location. Yeah, but you can try that. You will have some response. Nikita, we will deep dive instead, right? Don't do it in a short term, right? Don't worry, we will do it tomorrow. We have a lot of things to be discussed here in it. Okay, so just hold on. So could you try that? Yes, why not? Siva is asking me to share that user data. Yes, I will do it. Just check it in the chat box. I've just shared it. You can take it as a reference. You can play with it, right? No problem. But I'm not going to, train you on Linux, guys. Please and understand. Okay, because that's not we are supposed to do here. Yeah. Madhuri, I will talk about that. Don't worry. But just think about there's a web server which I have launched inside the AWS EC2, and it is trying to give you a response like this. Can you see that? So just wanted to give you an idea that how it is easy to work with EC2 instances. Yeah, definitely it's not that easy, but yes, it is very, very quick, very convenient. So just think about if you launch a web server by yourself. Just imagine without AWS, then you have to do a lot of things, right? But in few clicks, in few seconds, I could actually launch it. And I got the response from here. Yeah, definitely there are a lot of things to be discussed here. We'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry. Okay. Yes. You have that Linux machine ready with you. Whatever you want to do with the Linux machine, you are good to go. Let me just show you that Linux machine, how you can get it. So you can go to this first web server and can you see connect option here? So let's connect on this, right? I think SSH is open. Let's connect. You will see that Linux like $prompt and where you can run all your Linux commands. Just see this. In a second, you will see that. I'm getting into my first server. Can you just see Linux prompt here? So what I did, I mean, instead of writing all those commands here and then, getting that done, the web server, I done it in the user data. So that is already been executed when I booted up this Linux machine. Yeah. So here the Linux machine is ready with you. You can do whatever you want to do. Can you just see that? This is a virtual machine that is given to you. Gopal, is a very high level question. I mean, we'll understand that. Basically, you can use net gateways or net instances. Yeah. You have to use a Bayesian host for that, right? I can give you that idea only. And I will show you in the VPC part, how can you do it. All right, guys, it's high time to wind up the session now. Yeah, don't worry. We'll deep dive into this Linux, this EC2, and we'll play with all those options that we just gone through. Okay, I hope it makes sense. I advise you guys, whenever you run any instance in free tier account, always stop it or terminate it. Just change its instance. Yeah, so stop instance. Stop. Right, but it will not charge you. Otherwise, like if you go beyond the free tier limits, like 750 hours, then it will charge you. Yeah, so always have habit of cleaning up the resources in free tier accounts. That's what I'm doing in front of you online, right? Nitesh is saying that. Okay, I was just doing that only. Any default configuration that we can clone? You're talking about templates? We can. Not all questions can be answered right now, guys. I mean, as you progress, you will see that all. Don't worry. All right. Yes, we can do it using templates. You can do it using ASGs as well, auto scaling groups. Okay. All right, guys. So let me just wind up because I have consecutive sessions, so I have to, right? I will, thank you so much, Jyoti, right, for those motivating words. I really appreciate. Yeah. Thank you so much. So Siva, it is always there when when I just end up this session and end up this meeting, no, you will get it as a pop-up, or you can go to here, right? Let me just, let's say later, if you want to give any feedback, then you can go to this class schedule. Okay. And then you will have a button like this, submit your feedback. I mean, it is instructor profile. That is why you cannot see it, but instead of like view recording or something like this, you will have submit feedback button. You can just try it out as well. Make sense? Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day ahead. And I have to wind up now. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. If things goes well, right? I am still in conversation with my team. I don't know what will happen. Yeah, because I need to sort out all these things before I move ahead. No problem. I'll see to it. That's not your part. Let me just do it. Thank you, everyone. I will see you. Take care.